twice. The future is simply defined as the hereafter, what's to come. Habakkuk 2:2-3 states, "Write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it will speak, and it will not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come." And the main vision I just had for this was just connection, just coming together, getting connected, being connected, and staying connected. So I think that we're facing 3 challenges in the future, and 2 challenges are just based on our society, and that's busyness and distance. The other one is really up to us, and that's knowing who we are, where we are, and what we are, which actually was spoke to early on. The first challenge, busyness, comes because we really have to decide to stay connected, because everybody's, get caught up in the day-to-day life. We have to decide to stay connected. Family is somewhat like oxygen, the very air that we breathe. Our bloodline is our lifeline, and it's very important. So we can't take it for granted. So no matter how tired you are, you make time to take a quick breath or to breathe. We have to also find that time for family.
Amen.
Okay. And an expectation for that is to keep in touch. You may be too tired to have a lengthy conversation, but it's nothing wrong with just picking up the phone and saying, "Hey, I saw something funny and wanted to share with you today," or "I was thinking about you," or just send a note of prayer, Or now we have text messaging technology, you can just get on and drop a line and keep moving. So we just want to try to stay connected. And you don't know how that would affect somebody or draw somebody close to you. And one of the solutions we tried to do for that, or will try for in the future, is the WFN. I'm going to refer to it as the WFN, which is the Wells Family Newsletter. We're going to try to do it 4 times a year just to, get more familiar and just send out things so everyone can see. The second challenge we face is distance. No longer do we live down the street from each other, We don't even live in the same city, the same state, and sometimes we don't occupy even the same country. Stetson is in Japan studying abroad, which is Vera's son. He's studying abroad in Japan now, so he's not here. Ella Mae, Gary, and Rosetta have spent time in Israel. Those are the ones I know about, but I'm sure there's plenty of us who've traveled. And so they spent time in Israel. And so we can't let that fact that we're out the country, even separate us. We can still drop an email or a text message or call. So we want to stay connected. The third and final challenge is so important that it burns like fire on the inside of me, and that's just knowing who we are, where we are, and what we are. And I think everybody really spoke about it tonight, about just knowing. The newsletter will help to know our family names. When somebody get married, I wrote a cousin, and I still write her maiden name, because I don't remember her married name, but I have to get more familiar with that. And so we have to get more familiar with each other's names as we go on and marry and build our own families. And another thing, through this process of bringing this together, I got to speak to my Uncle Raymond's children, and his grandson was living in Georgia, and I never knew it. He's been there for 18 months, and he was a drill sergeant, but now he's a recruiter. And I have a nephew who's going into the service, and he wasn't trusting what everybody was telling him. And then through this process, I found out we have somebody in the family who can tell him the inside of what's going on before he make a decision. So those things like that, we have to know. Like who's a lawyer, who's a doctor, these are things that are important. I remember when we were young, Aunt Mary was a nurse, and when the kids get sick and somebody want to take the hospital, she'll go, "No, just give them this, save you from going to the hospital." So we just have, it's nice to know what others are doing in your family and how you can access those gifts. So, and so that's about an expectation for the future, just getting to know each other through the family. So basically what happens tomorrow is a direct result of what we do today. So if we can get numbers, exchange numbers, and just become, keep in touch more often, that would be the main goal. So just staying connected. And I'm excited about what's going to happen next year. I know I will be there. And just a hint, I started this in October. So Jim, you might want to start now.
You need one good year.
Yeah, exactly, because I started in October. So okay. So and one other thing, when we think about future, let's start and begin with what we're working with. Good genes. Now, I'm not talking about the jeans you buy in the store for $200 that wear thin. I'm talking about the jeans like with my grandma Wells and my grandma Jones at 80-something years old and still looking young and feeling young. All right. So that's one thing we have, good jeans. I'm going to start also just mentioning another thing we have, I think, is strength. When I was young, my father would always tell me, so what? The Wells are strong. I say, Daddy, something happened in school today. So what? The Wells are strong. Daddy, I lost my job. So what? The Wells are strong. We press through. Daddy, my eyes coming out. So what? The Wells are strong. That was really for everything. So you couldn't get no sympathy, you know? Then we had our Uncle Raymond, and he always treated the kids nice when we went over his house. It's just like, give the kids what they want, so you know we love going over there. And my Aunt Mary, she brought in respect. You had to answer her yes. You couldn't answer her nothing else but yes. And one time, me and my cousin was in the living room, and she decided to try my aunt. And Aunt Mary was in the bathroom, and she just called in my cousin, Sophia. And Sophie said, Dina, watch this. And she go, what? Aunt Mary nearly broke her neck coming out that bathroom. Before she got there, Sophie was like, yes. So we knew not to play around with that. And Gertie also, we loved to go over her house and play games, our Aunt Gertie. And Jake, he was the money man. He come by, and he said, he had this box of change and quarters, and he go, whatever you want, whatever your kids find, you can have. So we erased to that box and get that money. One time, he messed around and left some dollars in there. Anyway, he couldn't get back.
Don't mess with his ice water, Dina. Don't mess with his ice water.
Right.
You can do anything but drink his ice water.
And the next one was Hattie, and she was the disciplinarian of the family. Enough said. We won't share those stories. And the baby boy was Uncle Curtis, and he knew how to stay out the line of fire. And sometimes you got to know when to get out the line of fire. And another, on my mom's side, we had my Uncle Winston, who I thought was funny. He had a good sense of humor. And I remember the first time when I was at Aunt Christine's house, and somebody was trying to open a bottle and pour it, and it wouldn't pour. And Uncle Winston said, that's because you poured it wrong. And I was gullible because I'm a child, and I'm like, really? She's pouring it wrong? He goes, yeah, you pouring it down. You got to pour it up. I'm like, but it was so funny. I was like, oh my God, I was all in, you know? So, and my Aunt Rita, I just got the opportunity to see her sing and marching recently, and that made an impression on me. I haven't seen you sing in the choir before that I could recall. So that was an impression on me. And my Aunt Ola, she's my business mind, my business sense. Whenever I have something I can't figure out business-wise, my Aunt Ola talks to me. And my Aunt Christine, who's family-oriented, one time me and my sister was fighting in her house as teenagers, and we heard her come down the stairs, so we knew to stop when adults come in. So we decided to stop. So we thought we outsmarted her. Like 20-something years later, she told me, I heard y'all. I knew y'all was in there, right? Okay. So just staying connected, and I just want to thank Pastor Gilbert, Pastor Jim, and Annie for coming, and Tanisha, Dina, and Gail. Thank you for coming also. Ola, Melinda, my husband, Aunt Rita, Aunt Christine, my cousin Shauna, Roslyn from New York, thank you for coming down here. Baby, and my husband and my daughters, and Mira and Kevin. Thank you, Kevin, for doing the welcome and helping us out. And we just had a great time. So now, if you guys are paying attention, we'll have our last Know Your